living in the drought. I ain't letting them take my mind, that's why I need to write it down. But it's freestyle right now, taking over the town. It's my first time, I kinda like how it feel. I got bases to steal, gotta eat my meal. I'm in the game to win. Playing games, playing games, playing games. Don't do it, 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 don't do it. Why you wanna do it? Don't do it. Playing games, playing games, playing games, playing games. Stop playing games, playing games. Don't do it, don't do it. Why you wanna do it? Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. I think they kinda like it. They like that.
What's up, y'all? I'm David.
I'm Teido.
And we're the Brooks Brothers.
What?
In the booth. Say what? In the booth. Down in the booth. Let's say down in the booth. Let's down in the booth. Now, gotta picture down in the booth. Gotta picture down in the booth. Say what? Hey, gotta picture down in the booth. Gotta picture down in the booth. Hey, you gotta get turned.
What's up, y'all? It's your boy, Big Baby Bush. Big Baby. Ooh. That's right. It's the Brooks Brothers podcast show. Yes, thank you. Thank you. No. It's because of you, not me. Want your party to pop for more subscribers? You need your special day accessible to loved ones who can't attend the event? We integrate technology and social media into your special day to make it the most interactive, most awesome event of your life. Okay, guys, I want you to stay tuned. Not only do we have a photo booth app that's coming out real soon. I'm working with a developer on that. Y'all stay tuned for that. But right now, our services entail videography, photography, the photo booth, as I mentioned. Of course, musician services. That can be a small piece band, a soloist, a harpist for your wedding, or a full 9 to 13 piece band. We got the lights, we got the musicians, we got the stage equipment, the sound, pretty much everything except for the actual dance floor tiles. And you believe you me, pretty soon we're going to be slanging those as well. So again, guys, that's the Social Media Boutique. Visit us on SocialMediaBoutique. SocialMediaBoutiqueEvents.com. SocialMediaBoutiqueEvents.com. All right. The next, I want to take this time, guys. I want to take my time on this, honestly. Let's go ahead and take your seat. Let's go ahead and pause. Let's get the applause down. I want to promote a book. Seriously. Let me get those applause back. Because it's real. It's real. Please don't touch my magical hair. And you see, not only the author of the book is right here. His name is Charles B. Jr. And the co-author is his mother, Dr. Vivian Jolly B. She's actually a classmate and Facebook friend of mine. And that's how I got wind of what was going on. They recently did a tour. He was right here in our backyard in Charleston, South Carolina, doing events and book signings, I would imagine. And we really want to give it up for this young brother. Don't touch my magical hair. I mean, I haven't even spoken about it, and this is just so awesome. Again, not just because he's a young brother doing his thing. Please Don't Touch My Magical Hair by Dr. Vivian Jolly B. and her son, Charles B. Jr. From the very beginning, children seek to understand their place in the world. The Chocolate Kid Chronicles shares stories that are unique to children of color while celebrating the beauty and uniqueness of their experiences. This assurance gives them a sense of pride and confirmation that their stories matter. Please Don't Touch My Magical Hair is the first picture book of the series and aims to teach the importance of respecting one's space while encouraging self-love and confidence. It features an imaginative and courageous boy named Champ with big brown eyes whose mission is to share his experiences with the world. Join us as we take a ride through the Chocolate Kid Chronicles. Give it up one more time, guys. Please Don't Touch My Magical Hair by Dr. Vivian Jolly B. and her son, this young brother, dynamic brother, Mr. Charles B. Jr. I was about to call him Dr. Charles B. Jr. and probably, who knows, I got a feeling just knowing his mother and their family and everything that her and her husband are doing, this young brother is probably going to be a doctor, musician extraordinaire, renaissance man, writer, you know what I mean? Some of the things I like to consider myself, an organizer, academic, a thinker. We need more young brothers like this, guys. Please go to Amazon right now. I think right now Amazon is the main outlet Please don't touch my magical black hair. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Love that, love that. And as I said, guys, as the shows continue to go and we grow with this podcast network, we're promoting businesses. We're promoting black businesses, but we are promoting businesses that affect our local community. It doesn't necessarily have to be a black-owned business, but that is our drive to platform, to help add to the platform that's already created, and maybe in some instances create our own platform in which we can also put on the pedestal situations like this. This young brother is awesome, he's amazing, and this is really what it's all about. So guys, again, go check out Please Don't Touch My Magical Hair by Mr. Charles B. Jr. That's awesome, that's awesome. So, we got some more businesses that we want to promote, guys. That's what it is. I'm telling you straight up, one of the homies, True Blue, down to the from his head to his toe, Andre Palmer and the Palmer Collection brings you Guava Brava. Guys, let me tell you something. I've been, and Dre actually is sending us, I'm not gonna say a case, but he's sending us some bottles because you got hot, you got mild, and I'm gonna be real with you, even the mild has a kick. That I've been around, because I said this is a friend of mine. This brother has been doing the prototype and testing and adding different things and different peppers, and I mean, I'm talking about over the last several years. I've been there before he had a logo, when he just used to bring the sauce to the cookout in a big jug. It was popping. You can put this sauce on anything: chicken, fish, steak. Honestly, non-conventional things as well. Hot dogs. Honestly, eggs. I'm not lying, guys. Guava Brava, of course, guava being the base of the sauce. And my brother is, I don't want to speak for him. You guys need to just go check him out give me a second. Should have definitely had this in order. I apologize, Dre. Check out the Palmer Collection. Oh, I got it. I'm so sorry. PalmerNation.com. Forgive me, guys, for stumbling. PalmerNation.com. I got notes here, and my handwriting is kind of disgusting. PalmerNation.com. And Guava Brava is not the only sauce that he has out, but it is his leading product right now. It's he's working with grocers in the area. I believe he's doing international business. And again, this is a black-owned business. Proud to say this is a brother of mine, Andre Palmer and the Palmer Collection. Give it up one more time, guys, for Guava Brava by the Palmer Collection. I love it. Gosh darn it, I love it.
The development of the African that moves out of Africa into Europe and then moves into north of the 51st parallel, which literally would cut Ireland in half, it cuts England in half, it goes across Germany, Holland, straight across Asia. When you look at a map, there's a mountain that goes from one side to the other side that is almost like a polar cap that locks anyone in the 51st parallel in. There are 4 ice ages. There's the Gunz Ice Age, Mindel, Riss, and Worm. We don't worry about the first 3 according to Dr. Diab. We only worry about the last one because that's when the human family had moved and migrated into this part of the world.
So by checking the DNA of people living today, we find those with the same genetic markers. This map shows the distribution of men with a marker on their Y chromosome called M130. We can wind this film backwards and follow the migration route they took, which was the first complete one out of Africa around 60,000 years ago. That was the basis for the study conducted by Spencer Wells and others in 2000, which involved collecting DNA samples from indigenous people all over the world. Wells found distinctive genetic markers and traced each back to its source, marked here by red circles. We're retracing the migration paths our ancestors took backwards through time, and this is where they started, once again in Africa. Because the mutations happen at a fairly regular rate, these ancestral markers can even be dated, so the timescale on this map marks the progress of each migration. Populations that stay put and don't migrate will, of course, have a lot more of these genetic markers, so it's not surprising that we find the greatest genetic diversity in Africa. But the greatest of all belongs to a people whose ancestral homeland extended until recently from South Africa to the Rift Valley.
We're back on Brooks Brothers, y'all, podcast show. It's your boy, David Big Baby Bush.
And it's your boy, Teido David.
So we were talking about by way of listening to and breaking down in segments a speech by our elder, Dr. Booker T. Coleman. And we already did a little bio on him, and he is a very formidable, credible, admirable man, in my opinion. One of my top 5. I just wasn't sure exactly if he's where he falls 3 to 5. So I'll save that for another show. But anyway, so the next segment is dealing with essentially. So we talked about how we're the same, and we've established that in a scientific, biological way. We got this podcast is now proof. If we get wrapped up and tongue tangled up when we're out here debating, and trying to shed the light as it pertains to what we are, who we should work with, how we should work with each other, whether that be black people or white people, we have the actual podcast to fall back on. I can't even break it down. I forgot how to explain it because I'm drunk. But here you go on the podcast. Watch this shit, and then you listen to Dr. Booker T break it down scientifically, as he says on virtually all of his speeches. We got to be, even though humans are emotional, we have to be scientific and look at what's in front of our eyes and kind of and work with that, because especially during a time like today. So again, we're talking about black people, white people, people of all races, really, but we're specifically talking about, having Dr. Booker T talk about the origins of man, the original man, where essentially, now we're going to get into essentially where the origins of what we know as Caucasoid brothers and sisters, because for the most part, and I don't know to what degree, I'm sure there were different shades of black and brown, but for the most part, the original man, because of the original intended climate, ideal climate for humans, a warm climate, we were originally of melanated, for the most part, all of us. And I think that, again, no disrespect, that's scientifically proven, and that's the segment we're going to get into right now. And just like last segment, Tito, I want you to go ahead and jump right into, essentially just start off kind of general and vague, what your thoughts are, all right, about the concept of we were once black, and the only reason that we started getting different shades is because of migration, climate control, that kind of thing. And go, nigga.
This is stupid. Let's try and get that out. But okay, so before I get into it,
well, how does that make you feel? I mean, again, anything. I don't want to pigeonhole you into a question right now. I just want you to speak your mind, because you're a strong, eloquent, intelligent brother. We're just talking about the concept of we were all one, and then if it wasn't for overpopulation, then migration of people looking and seeking for other lands and food and oases and watering holes to thrive and to build their family, and then fuck around and got caught up in, like Dr. Booker T just talked about, climate, ice age, more than one ice age, I think 3, in which eventual, because he's talking about 16 generations it takes to change the color because of the sunlight, how your body responds to sunlight in 800-degree minus weather during the ice age. Damn! Go talk about it. Go deeper.
So, as far as that situation, I mean, this is something that we see every day, man. As far as different shades and different colors and this and that, man. And I mean, you want to break it down, if you want to break it down in the races, you can. But like what we're talking about, we're all the human race. We just all came from one place.
Right.
And we migrated to different places.
Right.
That scientifically made our body adjust to whatever the climate was. So I mean, just for instance, we got Puerto Ricans, Puerto Rico, that are dark like Africans that work
just like they're more directly linked to the original man, just like we are. Well, your ass specifically, because black and then Puerto Rican, which has black at the foundation. But yeah, Puerto Ricans in general at their foundation. So yeah, Puerto Ricans definitely considered, especially the brown, tan and brown ones, more African lookings. In general, that's why for the most part, there's more tan and brown and black Puerto Ricans than there are Spanish, Euro-Spanish looking Puerto Ricans, versus other Spanish countries like Venezuela or something like that. There are white-skinned, blue-eyed, and you definitely have that in Puerto Rico as well. But for the most part, the white people of Puerto Rico are like Christina, Chico. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
In Cuba, they actually got like pale, blue-eyed white people, pero es cubano, cubana. Like, damn, some of them. But Cuba is another black country, really, because for the most part, at the foundation anyway, there's a lot of Afro. The name of their music is Afro-Cuban music. Sorry to get you off your flow, because I know you were using the Afro-Spanish connection.
Right.
How
just looking here in America. I mean, we got dark Puerto Ricans in Puerto Rico, and then when you go up north to a place like New York or something like that, then you got your light skinned, almost white, pale looking Puerto Ricans. I mean, same thing for any other culture. You got your Indians. Some of the Indians, they darker than me. You know what I'm saying? And then you got some of the Indians that are light skinned, bright. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, when it all boils down to it, if we just really just take the time to sit back, open our eyes, and be like, oh well, that makes sense, you know? Because even when we break it down to, when we talk about white people, you got your pale white folks, and then you got your Miami Beach white folks, and they close to a light skinned sister.
I like it. Now, I like what you're doing, because again, just like we're doing with the whole black people versus white people, are we different? How are we the same? You know, trying to make it connect to a modern kind of maybe to say it plain, a simple, so people can understand, straightforward concept. I like the way you analogize that, because we are going deep. That's why I got Dr. Booker T. He can go deep, and we can kind of relate it to the times. But now you're right. I think in general, if you live in a colder climate, you probably are more pale than your same race brethren in the more southern hot region. And I think that does illustrate the point of what we're talking about, again, on a more, surface kind of level. But I think in general, as far as the generations, because those same New York Puerto Ricans, once they literally just get on the plane in the middle of February when it's cold and snowing and then fly to Miami and they stay there for a month, those Puerto Ricans are now just as dark. You know what I'm saying? But the point does still remain, that your climatology. That's what we were originally kind of talking as far as that segment of what Dr. Booker T was talking about, especially because, like Tito just said, even in a like day-to-day interaction type of vibe, it does matter. Your skin tone does adapt. What he was going, again, that's on the deeper level with Dr. Booker T. He said something about 16 generations. Right. And it might be, we might need to go back, and if I didn't clip all the way on the last one, but we'll get it. But yeah, he said 16 generations is what we're talking about when you're talking about the whole Ice Age, where all of those brethren and sistren were brown, black, melanated. Let's just call them that, because there's different shades within that, and they talk about that as well. How and that's true even in the coloring box of crayons or the color scheme in school. Black is all colors together in one. So again, that's why you can understand even on a surface level how one can extract the red, the blues, the oranges, and that's why you also can have that Cosby Show shit happen. I have an ex-girlfriend of mine. She's what we would call light skin. She's got like 7 or 8 brothers and sisters, and all of them you can look in their face and tell are products of both parents for sure. I ain't got no DNA test, but some of them are really bright. Most of the girls, there's a couple chocolates, and then a lot of the brothers. And again, we can get deep, not quite. Well, we can get deep because we're talking about it now. Most of the brothers were in that dominant gene. I don't know. I'm not a scientist, but they're darker, like their father. So again, I don't know if that's something direct, because I know that there's something. My biology teacher in 9th grade actually backed this up and confirmed this. That you can tell, for example, on a simple level, a mixed person, let's just say white and black, you can tell when the father is black or when the father is white. Right. Simply looking at the said mixed person that we're talking about. I don't want to speak to uneducated and eloquent, but you know what I'm talking about. I hope watching.
No, I think more or less. I mean, the second question is, how are we different? And I mean, just based off of Dr. Booker T, the only way that we're different is from generations and generations and generations and generations and generations and generations of what we now call Caucasian people.
Yeah, as far as skin color.
Colder climates, and their body just, because it was in colder climates, didn't need as much melanin, so their bodies adapted to not using or having that melanin as far as people of color. You know what I'm saying? And that's where we're different.
Yes.
The difference is that we stayed in the sun and white people went up to the ice age. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So when it boils down to it, I mean, just off the top, just eyesight looking in, the difference is that they stayed somewhere that we didn't stay. And looking a little deeper, the difference is that because they stayed where they were and because they, quote unquote, alienated themselves, their mindset and their thought process and their culture became different. And then they started to come around and implement it, but we had already implemented our culture and our normalcy or whatever the case may be. So now we're like two different beings. It's like having two Yorkies. One Yorkie for generations. Let's not use Yorkies. I use Yorkies because Yorkies.
That's fine.
You're
around Yorkies.
Let's use more.
Don't be scared. Be secure.
No, man. I mean, they cute, but Yorkies are Yorkies. But no, I want to use something more broad because people have problems with it. But let's use a pit bull. Okay. So a pit bull, if a pit bull is bred from generations and generations and generations, 16 generations to be exact, they're bred for 16 generations of a mild-mannered, smart.
That's amazing.
Dog. Okay. They're going to be mild-mannered, smart dogs. Now, if that pit bull is bred
in the opposite
16 generations to be aggressive, to be a fighting dog, then that's how you end up with an aggressive pit bull.
You're talking
to people. We're animals. Period. We're mammals. We're the same thing.
That becomes a part of their DNA. Keep going. I'm sorry to interrupt.
Right, for sure. And that's the same thing. We're mammals.
Broke down
just like that. We just happen to stand upright, be able to speak, and be a little more smart. But we're animals, though. And for generations, our DNA changed. Their DNA stayed a little on the pale side, with a little different mindset.
Sure. Oh, thank you. Because what I was about to say and how I wanted to kind of organize pretty much the show, and we can wrap it up because this is plenty to talk about. The first part that we're on right now, which is the skin tone, in regard to like the only reason we're different is because of climatology, migration, that kind of thing. The ice ages, 3 of them, I believe, and there's four. Okay, and one in particular that was like the one-hit quitter in regard to capturing a group of humans that after 16 generations plus years. Because he was talking about minimum. They were there way longer than that. We'll get into we can put some facts up maybe at the end of the show to give like real specific numbers. But that's talking about why the different skin color exists. But we're still one human race. Now, right now where you are, and I'm sorry to cut you off, but I want to at least segment the show and at least take you dropping good game. And that to me is the second half of the show, talking about now the DNA part, okay? The spirit and person. No, maybe not spirit, because I believe the spirit, even when you evolve physically and DNA wise, I believe that the spirit is untainted and it might be buried down inside, but it's still there. And wherever it is, the pure part of it, going back to your dog analogy, which was awesome because you did some hypothetical in regard to future, as far as like if you had that breed of pit bull and you decided to go 16 generations in one way, 16 generations another, but look at literally actually pit bulls, and as well as, that's why I was laughing, but I was like, hey, when you start talking about Yorkies, same shit, same exact thing if you look at their past, because if you're talking about the original wolf, every other dog breed is exactly what you were just talking about. I don't know if it's 16 generations, but I feel like, you can slap that in there as far as the whole, of course, taking into consideration the 7 years to 1 year dog to human, whatever that is, 16 generations, I would imagine at least, is enough to change a breed. And maybe because of their blood, it's actually sooner than that. I kind of think it is because they actually have these designer breed dogs that are officially like, just like 3 generations ago, they mixed a Labrador and a poodle. And now officially with papers,
they're Labradoodle.
A Labradoodle. And they're like $3,500. At least probably even more than that. Show dogs, you know what I'm saying? Right. So again, not to get too far off topic as far as talking about dogs, but we're talking about how we're the same. We've talked about that already. Now we're into the how we're different. And I like it, and I think it's fine that we can segment into that because we want to be very careful about this. Because again, that's why I thought it was good to talk about our brothers and sisters that we consider just that, and they happen to be Caucasoid or maybe even a different race, because especially with us having, both of us, you specifically with the Puerto Rican, you know what I'm saying, and even within blackness, and getting my daddy, and the mixed negras, the Bush family. We'll say that for a whole nother show. I want to talk about the Bush, our connection to them. Those, yes, the Bushes. They had land and property in South Carolina. They was out here getting it in with their slaves, ex-slaves, whatever you want to call it. And then we out here, we're curly hair. But anyway, so that's all about, we're one race. And biologically, skin, now we're talking about DNA. The reason I said we got to be careful is because we love our brothers and sisters of all other races. But one thing that we talked about on the Jazzmania lunch special was interracial dating, and specifically as it pertains to black and white folks in America, because we have to take into consideration the climate. Even as you were talking before, your whole thing, your swag about, man, we're all the same race, the human race. If you want to get into race, you're right, because you don't have to as it pertains to certain things. But when it comes to life that we're living now, unfortunately, the plate that we are served daily is racism. And we have to deal with that, whether you're white, black, Indian, Hispanic, Asian. When you're coming to be a part of this American immigrant type of society and situation, we're talking about race. We have to be real. Voting and land ownership and all kinds of things, the pros and cons of being a person of color and or of a different ethnic background, trying to thrive, trying to survive, and then get to a point where you can thrive in the great United States of America. No country or government is perfect. I wouldn't want to be nowhere else. But again, we got to deal with what the fuck we got going on. And so again, race relations, this is what we're dealing with. And so what Sweet Tea said, which was amazing, was you, especially in a 2019, dating someone of another race is just to say it plain and simple, totally fine. The main thing is not to put too much responsibility on the white brother or sister, but it's not going to work unless that person truly understands white privilege and or at least wants to understand white privilege. It would be great if their mind was elevated to the point where they know a lot about what we're talking about now, even the origins. Because when you talk about white privilege, you are talking about a point of view that not all white people have, first of all. Because again, like our brothers and sisters, the ones that we gravitate toward, and I think maybe they're gravitated toward us. They gravitate toward us. We have like minds. Birds of a feather flock together, regardless of race, like you said earlier. But a part of the reason that we're able to do that is because, quite frankly, they understand white privilege, and that affects their behavior in a positive way. And, it manifests itself positively in their day-to-day interactions with us as fellow brothers and sisters in the United States of America. You feel me?
For sure.
So, again, want to be careful, but we got to be real. So, Doctor, I believe this next segment is going to go into a little bit more detail and deep depth about where, and I'm drawing a blank. It's a gland, a biological, actual gland, I believe, or some sort of, and I know I hate the sound. I just don't want to stop the recording to watch the video. Hold on, actually,
finish what you're saying.
Yeah, basically, there's like a gland or something in our body that actually has evolved right along with your pigmentation and skin color. If you were to, again, or with the like you said, with the attitude and spirit and personality that becomes a part of the DNA of that specific hypothetical pit bull that you have bred for 16 generations to be aggressive. It's not stereotyping. It's a fact that this breed that comes from this line, because you specifically tried to breed it to be aggressive, it is aggressive. And quite the opposite. When you breed an animal, raise it pretty much regular, the way we raise animals today in a civilized society, damn near treating them like a member of the family. In most cases, they are. If you raise a dog like that, you see that they actually, in a lot of cases, they behave better than some human members of our family. Let's just be real, with the occasional besides the occasional bubble guts in which they might take a shit on your kitchen floor. No big deal. That's why we got tile. So, so when we have early proof and fossils, if you will, or findings of the early man, which some would call, I don't really like the Neanderthal thing, but I think that is like a real race or origin of people.
Right.
You know, and I believe that the caveman, and I might be confusing my time because one thing that I don't think I've ever gotten clear is when the hell dinosaurs were here and how that plays into Adam and Eve and Noah, you know what I'm saying? And all that. If an intelligent-ish Christian had to make a guess, I'd say maybe Noah's Ark, and when the great flood came, maybe that's when all them dinosaurs died.
Standing in a crowded room and I can't see your face. Put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. In my mind I'm running around a cold and empty space. Just put your arms around me, tell me everything's okay. Break my bones, but you won't see me fall. Oh, the rising tide will rise against them all. Oh, darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk on my own anymore. Won't you understand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk alone. I'm ready for this. There's no denying. I'm ready for this. You stop me falling. I'm ready for this. I need you holding. I'm ready for this. So darling, hold my hand. Soul is like a melting pot when you're not next to me. Tell me that you got me and you're never gonna leave. Trying to find a moment where I can find relief. Please tell me that you got me and you're never gonna leave. Break my bones, but you won't see me fall. Oh, the rising tide will rise against them all. Oh, darling, hold my hand. Oh, won't you hold my hand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk on my own anymore. Won't you understand? 'Cause I don't wanna walk alone. I'm ready for this. There's no denying. I'm ready for this. You stop me falling. I'm ready for this. I need you holding. I'm ready for this. So darling, hold my hand. Don't wanna know that feeling when I'm all alone. So please don't make me wait, 'cause I don't wanna break. No, I don't wanna fall. When you're next to me, content, I'm not afraid to be. You don't make me wait and never let me break. You never let me fall.
That's right, guys. And the next company that we are going to be showcasing right now, Freedom. I'm talking about Freedom. Freedom Paper Company, guys. This is absolutely a black-owned paper company. While they are most known for their toilet paper, okay, and nobody's embarrassed to say that, they absolutely have other products, as you see. Freedom Paper Company LLC is a privately owned light manufacturer and master distributor of personal paper that includes bathroom tissue, paper towels, etc., personal care, chemical, restaurant and food services, stationery, and janitorial products for both residential and commercial demands. The business is headquartered in Wilmington, Delaware. A lot of great things going on in Wilmington. Dr. Umar Johnson's school is actually in Wilmington, Delaware. So this is a big deal, guys, for the community. The company is unique from other corporations as it is born from the foundation of grassroots movement combined with the best of corporate culture and business acumen. Guys, go to freedompapercompany.com right now and order your paper. I get it. It might be really convenient to go to the Dollar Tree or Dollar General to get your stuff. Take the time, guys, even if it means you gotta, order your paper a week ahead. You got 3 rolls left. Seriously, guys. Now, this is not an official commercial, so I'm not gonna put the logo up as to trick anybody out there or to give Freedom any free advertisement. You guys holla at me. You know what I'm saying? I'm pushing your business, guys. Get with me so we can talk about these commercials. But think about it seriously. This is a black-owned company. They've been around for a while, and even if the rolls are maybe 5 cents more than your Charmin or whatever they got going on at the dollar store, take the time to order from a black-owned paper products company. You can get your gloves, paper towels as well, rubber gloves, that kind of thing, latex. Because think about it, every time you shit, somebody like you eats. Hey! Turn that motherfucking applause up. I'm the world's greatest. I'm that little bit of hope when my back's against the ropes. You see what I'm saying? The vibranium is real, guys, and that's what this is all about. SMB Podcast Network, the Brooks Brothers. Yeah, I'm looking at my brother texting me. We coming.
There's only one race on the planet.
That's the black race.
The human race.
The human race.
And because of biological climatology, this race was born in a warm, temperate climate. If geographically speaking, the warmest part of the planet had been China, black folk would be from China. Geographically speaking, we are children of the sun. It makes no difference where you are geographically. And we have to get over, I know that we're upset with how they've treated us. And I know we'd like to say things about them that are flip and cute and angry at them, but we gotta get rid of that emotion, because when we free ourselves from that emotion, we can free ourselves. If you put it in the hands of an alien being or someone who means you harm, if you give him the responsibility for having put you in this position, you also give him the power to keep you in the position. Once you assume responsibility for where you are. See, because my thing is, it's not even about who put me. I know who put me here. I know who put me here. I understand who put me here. So my discussion isn't constantly blaming. Look, man, someone throw you in the pit. You can spend the rest of your life arguing about who threw you in the pit, but you still in the pit, man. Get the hell up out the pit.
But here's the thing, brother, Professor. How can we say we can move on, and I know you ain't say move on, when he's still doing it right now? He's still controlling us.
No, I don't think he's doing it.
He's still, you don't think he's still doing it?
No, we doing it.
Oh man, he's still controlling right now to this very day.
Well, he's only controlling the physical world.
He control our resources. He control the resources coming out of Africa.
Only because we're allowing it to occur until we step up. And this is what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was teaching us. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad and Marcus Garvey showed us what we could do. He showed us what we could do. Okay, he showed us. You know, when the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey developed the UNIA, and when the others formed those organizations, like the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who bought those farms down south and was able to raise his own fish and raise his own animals and have his own markets and have the steak and take that was around the corner, he showed us we could do it. The question was...
So anywho, I don't know the timeline exactly, but we do know that there were cavemen, so to speak. We know that there were dinosaurs at some point. Fuck the dinosaurs, we're not talking about that. But there were Vikings, and the origins of what we know as Vikings, because I think Vikings are a sophisticated breed of Caucasoid. Not just sophisticated, again, going back to this land that Dr. Booker T is going to talk about, aggressive. The Vikings were probably some of the most fierce warriors in the history of mankind, and no offense to their direct descendants, I think some Irish and Scottish and certain European brothers can tie, direct, oh matey, just 10 generations ago, I'm great Viking, offense to them, but let's just be real. I'm very much so into that History Channel series, The Vikings. The main historic figure that they follow was pretty much like the quote unquote, as we know, founding father or godfather of the Vikings. And he was a great warrior. He had, wives, and he conquered specifically what we know as England, I believe. He conquered those people, or really kept. He basically brought the old Viking, which was basically all barbaric, into a modern-ish society by starting to conquer like the British or the London area, and their king, because they already had kings and royalty and monarchs. They were very political, and when they witnessed that these men were superior to them in fighting skills, when they took over the first, like, let's just say 5 villages on the coast, we were like, yo, we need to go holler at them, man, and make a deal. So basically, long story short, because they ended up having something with that man's brother who was jealous of him, kind of, and they may have done that in the series, like Hollywood shit. But his brother, and I'm not using names specifically because I don't want to misquote the names, and it's not important, but his brother ended up like marrying one of the like dukes of France, his daughter, and making babies with her and that whole bloodline, and so we get so forth and so on. But the point is that originally these Vikings were very aggressive, very cunning, specifically in regard to tactics, warfare. They were water people because they were in boats. They had sophisticated ships and weaponry, and they conquered people. They came out of the Ice Age, at least their ancestors, which wasn't that far, they're not so long ago ancestors, came out of the Ice Age. You're talking about hundreds of years of having to live in a horrible climate, fighting, having to kill bears and wolves, whatever the early ages of that, saber-toothed tigers and shit like that, like having to live like that, having to live with dying at the mouth and claws of those very beasts that we named, and becoming whatever that is after hundreds of years and generations. You know, again, being careful, because I don't want to just say flat out that a lot of white people are aggressive. But the ones that do choose aggression and or taking the path of white privilege in a modern society, I think we have to attribute to like this part of maybe that DNA. Right. And not to get too scientific, because I don't want people that might feel naturally aggressive, that happen to be Caucasoid or happen to have a hard time dealing with race relations, to feel bad when they hear the podcast. I want this to be open to everybody. But like, we might have to face biology and science that the white brothers and sisters that we naturally get along with, they might be of a different DNA, ancestry-wise, than them other motherfuckers. They might be of the Brits and the France and you see what I'm saying, the ones that were a little bit more civilized during the times of Viking reign, and then the other brothers and sisters that come direct from the Vikings. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, raw KKK.
It's okay. And so again, going back to the original thing, I'm gonna stop talking so much and let you say whatever you got to say, because my whole point was that if they know their history, if they know what white privilege is in the present, then they are the most ideal candidate for not only building bridges, but actually getting shit done as it pertains to this world. Because the only thing that's going to stop the dominant society is for unity and true love and all that shit our brother Teflon Byron Bush be talking about. And we talk about it too, you know what I'm saying? But we just jokingly, comedically give him the mantle for that, because that's he wants to be all love, all peace, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, and that's real, because like we started the show, we are all one race, and we got to remember that even during times of racial tension. Go ahead, man. I'm off my soapbox.
That's funny, dog. But I mean, no, just to kind of come off of what you said, I mean, it's about knowing your history, man. It's about just paying attention and acknowledging what the truth is. And I mean, history shows us that what you call them, the Caucasoid. The Caucasoid
brothers and sisters, yes.
Right, brothers and sisters have always, for hundreds and hundreds of years, been those people who started wars, who's tried to conquer people, who's taken over people's land, who's come in, and that's always been their history. And they use
all their history, but kind of for the most part, at least in early mankind, at least where we've been documenting shit.
I mean, all of history. No, I'm gonna say all of history.
No. In all of history, there have been the dominant society have been doing treacherous things. But no, the point I'm trying to make is also during that entire time, there have been Caucasoid brethren and sistren who have been fighting the good fight right along with us. Let's just be real about slave abolition and abolitionists. the reason that it got to Abraham Lincoln and it really got to the points where we really could be free were specifically because of white abolitionists.
Sure. Sounds
and
great, brother, but I'm not
railroad, all that. No, I'm not
No.
doubting what you're saying. I'm just saying, like,
Sure.
let's not leave out, because again,
No, I'm gonna get to them.
Yeah, no, okay,
I
you want to separate.
definitely get to them. You know,
Okay, go ahead. You want to
for sure, but no,
talk-
I'm just saying, you know,
Go
history. You know, that's just what the quote unquote some 10%, but that's what the quote unquote dominant society has always been. They've always been, you know, killers.
As far as the dominant part, right? That's
right,
pretty
for sure. I mean, that's how they took over this, took over that, took over this, took over that. You know, and they use, you know, statistics, as they say, about, you know, black people being violent or black people being this or people of color, melanoid, whatever the case may be. But history shows that the dominant society have always been the most aggressive and the most people who kill people just for no reason. That's what they do.
Once they became the dominant society, and we don't really address that too much in this breakdown of Dr. Booker T. Coleman Jr., but we can, you know, as far as specifically when they began to outnumber, whenever the non-pigmented, when the folks, our brothers and sisters that lost their pigmentation, when they be in history of mankind, when they actually surpassed, you know, their African brothers and sisters, as far as the whole Ice Age thing. I don't know exactly when that happened. We'll look that up at another time. But so because the point is that that was whenever that was is when they actually became the dominant society. And then before that, though, and not to knock you off your point, I just want to hear what you have to say and then tie it into what you're saying right now as far as more modern times, even if you're talking about slavery and civil rights times. But the period of time where I lost my voice this weekend in a gig going hard, so I shouldn't be talking too loud. But Dr. Booker T says his opinion is that what they should have done once they came out of the Ice Age, basically, and started to mingle back into the world, they were physically able to, because Ice Age basically trapped them in this time. You know, I feel sorry, you know, for them, you know, but they made it. I mean, that's the one thing about humans and the original man. Even when they got their Michael Jackson on, because their hair changed too, let's be real. Because everything he said about the skin and the reason it responded to pigmentation and melanation, like what, you know, it responds basically within to the sunlight in our body in the different climates. So like, again, in the summertime or spring in Africa, or even Southern Africa, where like in Miami, it's pretty warm all year round. If that's, you know, for the most part, we are used to that climate. The skin and the hair is, you know, like it wasn't, you know, changed once we went to, and once those brothers got locked into this Ice Age situation. Now, when they came out, Dr. Booker T said the first thing they should have did in regard to survival, and of course, I think my opinion about this is as far as why they didn't, is because that wasn't on their mind. Remember, we just talked about that whole DNA shift. We're going to play this clip here in a second. They weren't thinking about what we got to do to survive because of their situation and the pigmentation, melanation, and the loss of melanation, and their glands and the DNA shifting over 16 generations plus. Their specific agenda, and I can only speculate, but based on history, wasn't how do we survive and thrive. It was conquer, pillage, competition, and again, the origins of this whole white privilege, even before they knew what that was. The point is, this is us over here, the white people, out as far as coming out of the caves and all that, and these are the rest of the world. And again, there was by this time when they came out, black people had spread out more than just in these caves per se. We're talking about these specific group of people because other Caucasoids and Asians specifically, again, all cultures, and we're going to show that diagram in Dr. The Caucasoid brother from Australia who did the study, and there's a diagram I'm going to show you at the end of the show that shows from Africa to Australia to Asia, all over Europe, everywhere we went, and where it all started. And how, just like with climatology, like you said with New York versus Miami, Puerto Ricans, same shit, but just spread it out over generations. why you have Asians, why you have Russians, why you have the ones that were stuck out in the Ice Age. And I actually think Russians and Irish and Scottish come from the whole Viking era. Again, Russians are real as fuck. It's not just a movie, gangster movie. It's real life. I'm not going to talk I don't have too many personal situations, but I know a couple. And the Aventura area, for example, in South Florida, very, very populated by Russian immigrants. And they, even on a regular civilized civilian level, their mindset is raw. Like a regular Russian trying to be right in America and not go to jail, just from drinking a bottle of vodka, and they can drink copious amounts of vodka. Sorry to stereotype. It's kind of like Indians. When the Indians drink a little liquor, they get fogged up. It's true, man, because it's the blood. Russians, they can drink a whole bottle of vodka, and that same civilized Russian will bust you over the head with that bottle just because something switched. Again, I don't mean to be stereotyping, but that shit is real, man. Russians are real. So anyway, Irish, I respect them and love Irish guys because they'll fight. I'll fight your black eyes. I'm not scared, laddie. Come on. And then they'll buy you a pint of beer afterward. But they're real. They're real. So Dr. Booker T says the first thing they should have done, again, I went off on a tangent talking about what their mindset was. But what it should have been, like he says, is not to get nasty or graphic, but mating with the biggest, blackest man or woman, again, depending on what they are, that they saw once they came back out into the world, whether they were going to London, whether they were in Asia, whether they were in Africa. And we know historically what happened in Africa because on their conquest, once they came to Africa, remember, it's the original place of man. The diamonds, the riches of the land, the you know what I'm saying? Everything, the people, everything was virtually like the closest thing to magic and heaven on earth that mankind has ever known. I'm talking about original Africa before mankind, I'm sorry, giving it to the Vikings first, started stripping. Because no, it wasn't just them. After that, go through the history of mankind, Arabs, Asians, of course, the Roman Empire, man, hundreds of years of dominance and conquest. And they specifically went after the Moors. We were the Moors, the black folks were the original, like, sophisticated man. Again, even in a quote unquote modern society, as far as like, a couple hundred years ago, a few hundred years back. And Romans specifically went after Hannibal to not only take him down and to conquer his land because of money, but to steal their legacy. They are responsible for trying to bury the legacy of the Moors, which basically proves that those brown and black brothers and sisters are responsible for mathematics, arithmetic, modern plumbing, the whole concept of shit rolling downhill. The toilets were at the top of the hill, and there was reservoirs, lighting system of candles, and use of, all that. The Romans killed, pillaged, and stole it.
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean that's kind of where I was going. Before you went off on your tangent, but
I was just trying to throw it in.
You know what I'm saying? Like, but I mean, I guess essentially to break it down in simple terms, my point is that that's what they were taught. That's what they were known for hundreds and thousands of years, and then when we break it down, we come back over here, we're in modern day society, we're living in this, we're living in that, for sure. We're definitely have those people that are on the same vibration as far as like our Caucasoids, you know what I'm saying? That's when you talk about the abolitionists, when you talk about people who want to do the right thing. They were just bred a little different, They didn't get that same DNA gene, that they brother, what I'm saying, got, because their brother he owned a bunch of slaves, a gang of niggas, you know what I'm saying? But he was like, no, I'm gonna take a different route. He was just the runner of the litter. That's all. He was just the rut, dog. He was just a little different. So we did start.
Wait a minute now. I hear you and I like it. Because I will give credit to even the Vikings having blood-wise and DNA-wise, having a line or lines of people who have strived for better. So, but I whatever. That doesn't feel right. Strive. I feel like I'm just gonna say strive. Who used to strive for better.
Right.
I feel like what I'm talking about, though, are the actual other Caucasian, again, whether you're talking about Asians, Indian, because remember now, whether you believe this or not, I feel like there's enough scientific proof that to a degree, and even if it was, whether it was the country spread apart, I don't think it was that. I think it was more like the water either rose. Like, I think, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think there was at one point, whether it was because of sea level or maybe there was an actual dividing of continents, because they you know, there are beliefs that at one point back in the history of mankind, we were all just one big country, so to speak.
Right.
And over time, climatology, all that kind of shit, and as people literally migrated to different places, that's why, once again, in every part of the world, you can actually find, with the exception of the Ice Age segment and part of history, black people, because of take it back to the old original days, overpopulation took place. Brothers and sisters, you know, had to say, yo, peace, me and my family gonna backpack and put the baby on the back and the food in the backpack and go walk. And they walk hundreds of miles. And that's why you have black people who are the original man, even when it comes to South American Indians. Those Mayans, they're very dark-skinned and dark-complected Brazilians. This is like not a coincidence. I'm getting a little bit off track because we're talking about, I guess, specifically Caucasoid. And I think that European for the most part, and I do think that most Europeans came from the Ice Age guys. I don't know. I want to put a book tab in that, because again, if I'm wrong, I thought that there may have been other Caucasians outside of the Ice Age that were not trapped, and that's what I was saying. If that's true, I was alluding to the fact that maybe our cool brothers and sisters are actually from those parts. The ones that were fortunate enough not to get trapped. Because remember, when the Vikings came out of the Ice Age, the first people they conquered were also white. France, who they remember the original, but they had darker skin, but they still were, you know, white. Italians, the British, you know, a lot of those people were kind of like olive skinned, if you will. Anyway.
For sure.
All right. So that was a good little breakdown. That was a good breakdown. The next part, I think, it's pretty much right where we are. The only way, in my opinion, and you can drop, I think the only way we can really work together, and that's the last question. You know, first one is how we are the same. Second question, how we're different. And the third one is how we can work together. And I think we pretty much touched upon that, as far as they got to know what white privilege is. And it would be nice if they were open to learning on their own or with us, like we're kind of doing now, the research about biologically and genetically where they come from, so that they know better. Because it's not just them, it's like us in general, humans in general. In order to maneuver properly in life, in my opinion, you got to like have a game plan. In order to have a game plan, you got to do some research. That means you got to learn the terrain and know whatever you're trying to do in life. All right, I want to be a CEO of a bank. Okay, well, you probably got to go to college. Boom, 4 years. You know, it'd be nice if you got a master's degree in finance. Okay, boom, 2 years, whatever. Get some experience being a assistant manager at Bank of America. Boom, 3 years, 4 years. I'm the shit. Now I'm the bank manager. You feel what I'm saying? Now after 10 years, they've asked me to be the president. You see what I'm saying? That's a game plan. You did the research. So that's what we're doing, man. And I think that if we're talking about white and black, orange and green working together, I feel like those of us that are at the top, not to sound cocky or arrogant, are those who choose to learn about their own past.
Right. That's what I say. And I think, for me, to answer the question.
How do we work together?
I think first we need to learn history, and second comes into learning a little bit of logic and just building logic into understanding. Just understand that you had some old ancestors who might have did some fucked up shit. Okay? Understand that. You know what I'm saying? So once you can understand that, then you can see. Because everything to me in this world is perspective, period. Point blank, that's it. It's done. Stick a knife. Stick a knife in? Stick a knife in, dog. Because if you can just a little bit, not fully, you know what I'm saying, but just a little bit, just to see the perception of why people say what they say and why people feel what they feel, then you can start to build your character. And essentially, that's going back to where we're talking about the DNA and the changing and blase, blase. But once you understand and your DNA starts to change, and you can pass that same thought process of understanding and perception onto your kids, and after a couple generations, then we'll have a lot more people, a lot more Caucasoid brothers and sisters that understand, and they're more on our level of understanding.
Yes.
You know, I think I'm not putting full blame on the Caucasoids. I'm putting blame on everybody. I think black people are on the soapbox that they don't ever want to get off of. You know what I'm saying? I think that
that's supposed to progress.
Right.
Ironically, in regard to all the shit you talking about on your soapbox.
Right. So my point is, like Barack Obama said, you can never move forward looking back, and that's what black people like to sit there and they like to do. They just, oh well, you did this and you did that, and that's what happened, and my ancestors and this and that. We got it. Right. You know, we got it, dog. Now what are you
like Brooks Brothers? We got
it. We got it. For sure.
Fuck with Brooks Brothers. No, we got it.
You know what I'm saying? Because me personally,
we got it.
Gemini. I see both sides of the field, you know.
I hear you.
I can definitely see.
I'm an evolved Scorpio, so I can let you get yours in without feeling emasculated.
Melanin people, you know, I can see where their anger and their frustration comes from. But I can also see that if we just take that and not use it so aggressively, you know, or with so much hate or whatever, and just, you know, try to educate the people.
Yourself. Remember, you gotta educate yourself first.
Definitely educate yourself first.
And then we can use you talking to the
then we can help educate other people, and hopefully the shit snowballs. It turns into wildfire and it spreads. And, you know, more of us will be less mad and less angry and stuck on hating the Caucasoid white folk, and then more white folk will be more open and inclined to hear what we have to say, so we can move forward as people, as the human race.
Very good.
So what we have to do is, 1, educate ourselves. For 2, walk in each other's shoes. Perception is key. We got to understand what they're saying. Well, look, it wasn't us. We didn't do it. But you're still living in a society that, you know, that benefits you more than it benefits us. Well, you can't understand that.
Yeah, no, I'm not fucking with you. I like it. And I'm not trying to correct your language. I just mean, like, you know, I know what you mean when you say walk in their shoes. I think that's more part of the education part. If you educate yourself about yourself, and like we're doing, other cultures as well, and the people that of other cultures do the same thing, when we come together, man, it's dynamite out of sight. But you know what I'm saying? Even though we can't really walk in the shoes of our Caucasoid brother or sister, we can educate ourselves. You know what I'm saying?
Right, for sure.
And I know you know that. I'm just, you know, just using that time to jump in. That's all I want to get. You know, like
do your thing, man.
That's good. It's a good game. I think it's a good place to wrap it up for this particular show. That's dope. We want to thank, you know, we're gonna treat this man like he was a guest. Thank Dr. Booker T. Coleman Jr. for joining the show and giving us the opportunity to receive knowledge from the elders and be able to break it down and chop that good game up like we did. I'm happy. And this is going to be probably 2 different shows, probably 5 and 6. Actually, this was 6. We did 5. You know what I'm saying, which is of the same, you know, show. We broke it into. So we're gonna sign off, y'all. It's the Brooks Brothers Podcast Show with your boy David Big Baby Bush and
Teido.
We're out. Let me see if I can. I'm gonna stop recording. We're still gonna keep the call.
In the drought, I ain't letting them take my mind. That's why I need to write it down. But it's freestyle right now, taking over the town. It's my first time, I kinda like how I feel. I got bases to steal, gotta eat my meal. I'm in the game to win. Playing games, playing games, playing games. Don't do it, 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 don't do it. Why you wanna do it? Don't do it. Playing games, playing games, playing games, playing games. Stop playing games, playing games. Don't do it, don't do it. Why you wanna do it? Don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. Please don't do it. I think they kind of like it. They like the.
Social media boutique. Social media. DJ Sauce. Like Mo. Social media boutique. Social media. Ready? Yeah. Social media boutique. Creative and unique. We light up on our feet. Social media boutique. Social media boutique. Creative and unique. Yeah, we light up on our feet. Yeah. Social media boutique. Social media boutique. Social media boutique. Creative and unique. Yeah, we light up on our feet. Social media boutique. Social media boutique, creative and unique. We light up on our feet. Social media boutique, social media boutique, creative and unique. Yeah, we light up on our feet. Social media boutique.